And we ended up in Sedona, and that was the beginning of my more conscious, I guess, journey versus just doing life. And started with things like human design, astrology, moved into matrix energetics. So it's just curiosity that just pulled me forward until, through coaching into alchemy, into more of the quantum field with star magic and breath work, right? It's just been just curiosity and guidance that has taken me to the next level, the next level, and the next level.
So I'm curious, how has your understanding of alchemy, how has that changed or transformed over the years? Sounds like you've had quite a varied journey of deepening your own experience.
And it provides a lot of principles for really understanding what your beliefs, patterns, and behaviors are. So when you become conscious at that level, you can actually break through those repeating patterns and do something else.
But I'm curious, how did your technical background shape the way you understand consciousness and the quantum field?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Actually, I've questioned that myself. I had intuitive knowings on many levels long before I really understood how it was playing out in my business operational field, right? I think Julie hit the core, right? If you don't have that curiosity, the doors are just going to be there. You're never going to open them.
Welcome back to the Healing New Method podcast, where we explore the pathways of healing, transformation, consciousness, and what becomes possible when we bring curiosity, compassion, and presence to our human experience. I'm Gloria Lybecker, and I'm here with my dear friend and co-host, Gail Donohue.
And today we are so delighted to welcome two beautiful guests, Julie Valentine and Tim Fraser, for a conversation that opens the doorway into quantum healing, ancient wisdom, superconscious awareness, star magic, and the deeper mysteries of who we are as energetic and multidimensional beings.
Julie is the visionary behind quantum alchemy fusion. For decades, Julie has explored the mysteries of the universe through both ancient alchemical teachings and modern scientific understandings. She brings together wisdom teachings, alchemical principles, and techniques that support people in accessing the superconscious so they can awaken to more of their highest potential. And Julie is also trained as a star magic facilitator.
And Tim Fraser brings a truly fascinating background. With 45 years of experience in IT, Tim has long carried intuitive knowings that have helped catalyze transformation in both people and organizations. His lifelong interest in the energy body, ancient wisdom, and the quantum nature of humanity deepened through his own awakening experiences, including a UFO encounter over Tehran in 1976 when he was just 16 years old. Tim is trained in Reiki, though he now prefers to work directly in the quantum field. He and Julie are currently near Sedona, Arizona, where they are creating a space for spiritual growth and transformation.
So Julie and Tim, welcome. We're so grateful to have you both here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Julie, I'd love to begin with you. You've spent decades exploring ancient alchemy, modern science, and the mysteries of consciousness. Can you share a little about your own awakening journey and just what led you to create the quantum alchemy fusion?
Good question. So, curiosity, right? Curiosity always is the pull. And so I actually came out to Sedona 26 years ago, a while ago. And quick visit. We stopped in at, dinner time, left the next morning, and moved 6 months later. In the meantime, the business we had literally fell apart. The partners just kind of just went into a different direction. And we ended up in Sedona, and that was the beginning of my more conscious, I guess, journey versus just doing life. And started with things like human design, astrology, moved into matrix energetics. So it was just curiosity that just pulled me forward until, through coaching into alchemy, into more of the quantum field with star magic and breath work, right? It's just been just curiosity and guidance that has taken me to the next level, the next level, and the next level. And so it's been an amazing journey, and it just became clear when Tim started considering retiring, semi-retiring, that we needed to start creating something together. And I had done coaching, like I said, 10, 12 years ago, wrote a book, Soul on Fire, which is almost done for the rewrite. And it just all starting to come together. So now Quantum Alchemy Fusion is alive and moving forward, and it's been a growing journey, like everything when we go into this, right? It's like we
Yeah.
just keep expanding and finding more and more out about how we can help people, how we can assist them in growing faster, how to break through faster, how to get to that place where their soul is pulling them. So it's the end of the day is we are really working with being the conduit, the bridge, however you want to phrase it, to connecting them to their true essence, to bring them into their destiny, their legacy, their purpose, their passions. It's helping them with that bridge.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how has your understanding of alchemy, how has that changed or transformed over the years? Sounds like you've had quite a varied journey of deepening your own experience.
The greatest thing about alchemy, because it's more physical, right? And when you get into the quantum field, it's all energy. Alchemy is very present. It's very here, and it provides a lot of principles for really understanding what your beliefs, patterns, and behaviors are. So when you become conscious at that level, you can actually break through those repeating patterns and do something else. You see it, you go, this is just this happening again. This is how my body reacts, however you want to phrase it. And you can make a different choice because just on the other side of any block, any behavior, there is a greater opportunity. There's a greater energy that pulls you forward. And that's the alchemy principles. That brings the context for people to be able to frame it. Because it's one thing to sit in meditation in the quantum field all day. It's another thing to actually apply it and help your life grow and pull forward.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love how you have the structure, but then you also have the energetics. So they work together in combination.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'd love to turn to you, Tim, and ask you a question because your path is so unique. You bring together a long career in IT with intuitive knowing, energy work, and quantum healing. But I'm curious, how did your technical background shape the way you understand consciousness and the quantum field?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Actually, I've questioned that myself.
Mm.
I had intuitive knowings on many levels long before I really understood how it was playing out in my business operational field, right? I think Julie hit the core, right? If you don't have that curiosity, the doors are just going to be there. You're never going to open them. So for me, I've always been curious. I've just been, I call that terminally curious. And that's been in technology, and it's actually served my career well because I've been through like 5 generations of technology shifts over my career, and I've been a leader in that space every time, including what's happening now in AI. So I've really embraced it. I've learned how to learn, and my curiosity has truly driven me. Now, that same curiosity was running in parallel in my own personal development and my own interest. I mean, I'm wearing Egyptian stuff right now, as you can see, and I resisted going to Egypt for years. It's like, whatever. The pyramids, you've seen the pyramids, right? But I had to really allow that curiosity to build to the point where that curiosity opened the doors for me to physically be there. Now, that wasn't my awakening. My awakening happened way before that, but it's things like that, like, being open to something new and being open to new modalities, and understanding my true nature. I mean, I started with Reiki, right? And even before Reiki, I was intuitively aware, but I just knew something else was out there. And especially since my experience in Tehran in 1976, I was 16 years old, and I, experienced this amazing event, which has now been released in the public about this big thing happened. It's one of the top two events that have been documented as international UFO experiences, and I was a live experiencer for that. But that opened my mind to, yes, there's something else out there, right? So that same curiosity has evolved, and I've let that curiosity evolve into how I work in my professional world. And what I was doing was, you don't talk, back in those days, you didn't talk about all these esoteric things about, why I kind of know these things. I just walk into a room and I transform the room. But what I didn't know was I was channeling.
Mm.
In my work, I was, navigating the field. I was reading the room. I was reading the room from an energetic perspective, and I was understood who I could trust, who I could not trust, and then how I could navigate the situation without being entangled in the situations myself. And that same process has really evolved for me, and I've learned to build on that, and that includes the work we're doing in quantum. Julie did the deep dive on the alchemic principles, which is really cool, because if you look at our brand, Quantum Alchemy Fusion, it's a fusion of quantum and alchemic principles. We've actually now included breathwork, so it's really a fusion of multi-modalities. And we've done a lot of journeys ourselves, and our curiosity has led us to a place where we've learned that a lot of things don't stick, and you really have to embody it. This is what Julie was saying about the alchemy. Alchemy runs the program to embody that, and it's a
Right.
process.
So Tim, I'm curious. I love the background and how you pulled it together, and I'm really hearing your key message about curiosity and open. But I just had a little bit more. I'd love to hear from you. How did you discover that what you had been doing all along had been channeling?
Thank you for double clicking on that. I'll give you an example. I was working at corporate offices at IBM, and doing a massive transformation, multi-year transformation for the company. The leader of the company, she was an Indian lady. She sort of understood the nature of the esoteric, because she had visitations from her father who died and passed away. But she saw me operating, and she asked me a question. She said, "How do you do what you do?" And I went, "I don't know. It just shows up." And she said, "No, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Yeah, I know you're doing something that no one else is doing." And then I sat with that, and I went, "You know what? Yeah, there is something different in how I approach it." And I start to analyze it. Being a tech guy, I analyze everything. But I had to go out of my head to get the
Mm.
answer. I went out of my head to get the answer. But so I'll give you another aspect of how I discovered things. I already knew back then that I had some natural gifts that I've tracked back in my energy work, back to my lineage, most recent lineage through Sirius, and I have it. People ask me, well, how do you heal people? How do you do things that help people out? And I go, that's just Reiki. And Julie goes, "That's not Reiki. What you're doing is way beyond Reiki." And I went, "Oh, yeah, you're right, because Reiki has been too limiting for me. It works. It's a great foundation, great opening of a door, but I just couldn't. It was too limiting in terms of the dynamicness of what I was doing. I discovered through intuition and knowings that really is some of the teachings I've had as a galactic soul, on starships, traveling through space and time, to be able to bring that healing to people, and that healing looks like quantum healing. I call it Reiki because people understand that language.
Mm.
It's
Wow.
Reiki on steroids. So
Yeah.
that was like awarenesses, and it all comes together. And then when we start working together, Julie had a situation where she fell down, and she hurt her wrist, and she said, why don't you do that thing for me that you do for everybody else?" I said, "Oh, okay, sure." And then 2 3 days later, it's better. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how you discover by through experiential things, and that's really how it's worked for me.
Well, it sounds like your relationship was also a big alchemic process in coming together with what you've created here. Yeah, that sounds beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Julie, when people hear words like galactic, that galactic nature, or they hear multidimensional being, that can come across to many as feeling super mysterious or even hard to grasp. How do you help people to really begin to grasp those concepts in a grounded way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also where the alchemy really helps the grounding, right? Because when you start talking about alchemy, we're really embracing the unconscious, the subconscious, the superconscious, and how they all work together. And when you unfold that arena in the way alchemy does, we can then go, okay, this is you as a multidimensional being. You are the unconscious, the subconscious, the superconscious. And as they build this bridge between their different levels, they're now fully connecting into their multidimensional self. And through that journey, Tim is more galactic based, but they may have experiences where they feel that they are very connected to specific galactic origins. Um, some may never have it, and neither is good or bad. It's more for me is to really help them build that connection between the unconscious and superconscious, especially because wherever the power is, whether it's with your unconscious or with your superconscious, is what your subconscious is going to perform. So it helps, you are this that you don't know about because it's all program running on underneath the covers, and then you have this super consciousness intuition that when that really builds in strength, and your subconscious then becomes much more in alignment with what you're truly here to do.
Wow. Yeah. So, are there signs that that someone is actually beginning to awaken to that multidimensional nature?
There's so many different.
There's many
There's
signs.
so many paths, right? Some people can have it because they lost a family member. Somebody could just be out sitting underneath the stars and just get a full flash of wisdom. They didn't even know where it came from. It is so dynamic, and so I personally don't like to say this is how it has to look, and that you've had this experience, because nobody's ever had this same experience to get to their awareness of their next steps, their multidimensional self. It is very varied. Some people have, a traumatic accident, personal experience. Maybe it's abuse, rape. It could be something that's magical, again, like sitting under the stars and having a UFO experience. So it is so diverse, and it really depends on what their soul kind of structured before they came in here, is a lot of the guidance as well. So yeah, it's I think for our work, it's really helping them bring some context to what their experience was. Let's pull ourselves out of judgment. Let's step into where is this really taking you, and making it much more neutral
And so,
than.
really, really supporting them to develop the way they pay attention, to be
Yes.
very
Yeah,
intentional about paying attention and
Yes.
becoming more and more aware.
totally, totally. And that's again all the alchemical intuitive building that we do.
I think it's a, you said the word intention. I think it's also the other derivative word, attention. Pay attention to what you're feeling, you're seeing. A lot of these things you'll get as knowings or feelings, depending on your cognizance, your let's just say your one of your six senses, right? And just honing in on that, right? For me, it's dream time. I get everything at dream time. I mean, I get a tremendous amount of insights, and my dreams are like, Hollywood's movies on steroids, right? And to me, that's how I get it. But then paying attention to the meaning, that's the next level. So you just got to ask that next question. So this is the curiosity factor, right? So just explore what comes to you intuitively and pay attention, because where the attention goes, the energy goes, flows,
Yes.
right? So we just
Yeah.
got to follow that, the cosmic nature, cosmic law of Thoth. as above, so below, as within, so without, right? So just knowing, I've had dreams where I've had massive things happening in my journey, in my role on Starship, and there's been some catastrophic situations happening. I was mirroring that in my work life the same day, but you
Mm.
won't see that till you ask the question, why the hell did that happen? Then you see the nature of what happened in your dream time and you apply that. And then Julie, being intuitive to start with, also, she's also then kind of questioned my interpretation of that dream, only to find out that I had a blind spot, and that was one of the reasons why, as commander on ship, that's why we got in trouble. So you just got to be open to that. And you know what? I always tell people, keep a little black box next to you, a metaphorical black box. So anything I say or so that doesn't resonate, put it in that box, because you may never know when that box needs to be opened, because you may be ready later to hear what I'm saying now.
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting, Tim. And I have a curiosity that I just want to follow up with Julie regarding, when you're talking about the alchemy. And perhaps both of you could answer this. I was wondering, is alchemy about changing something within us or remembering what was already there? Or maybe it's even more than that.
Yeah,
I'm
that is really
curious.
a good question, Gail. It looks like change, right? Because that's how it
Mm.
expresses itself. What you're doing is you are connecting into the inner. That inner, when we start aligning, and so we're talking about coherence now, right? You're stepping right into that coherence, congruence, authenticity, patterning. So once we get into the intuition, you really start trusting that there is a conversion process. So much of society is driven by what exterior wants from us, what the world wants from us, our family wants from us, our culture, our society, what they want from us. And that's what drives so many of our decisions without us being aware of it. As you tap in and you tap that passion point, that purpose point, now you have a different reference. And there's going to be, the alchemy process is you go back and forth in tension as you start embodying the interior and bringing it into the world. When that interior and your exterior expression looks like a tremendous amount of change, when those start becoming in alignment, now you have coherence. Once we have coherence, you're going to move into congruency, which is literally everything from super consciousness through your full multidimensional self is now authentic. So there's been so much talk about authenticity, which has been just literally jacked all over the place because people
Mm.
still aren't really living from their authentic center. And so it's only when you get to when coherence and congruency is aligning your true essence of who you are in and as an expression in the world instead of the exterior telling you you're a CEO, you're a realtor, you're a mom, you're a dad. You're going to now express from that essence of the soul instead.
Mm. That's yeah. Oh, I love that response, and I'm curious. Do you have people that come to you that are sort of close to, being curious enough to look at dispelling all of the limitations that have been put on them? And do you see them close? How do you help them to move there, as opposed to having that, I don't know, perhaps that fear come back or that feeling that, okay, they can't do, really align with themselves. That would be too scary or don't have permission for it. Is there a certain process that you help people? Because I think of myself or think of others that being like that wondering, but then it's like, oh no, I don't think I can go there, or I don't think it would be just so scary to go there. Do you have something that you could offer to maybe someone else that's listening here that might think that as well?
Yeah, we definitely have our courses that help with that. And again, everybody is on a different path. There are, the entanglement that they have is going to determine how fast they go
Mm,
down the path. And again, we really try to stay out of judgment, and we can see when people hit that a wall that they cannot deal with today. Right? They may need to spin in it a little bit And either it's they're going to get their own aha moment. We can be there, we can coach, we can take them through the clearing process, through the quantum meditations and the teachings. Everybody still has their own threshold. And so we're going to take them as far as they can. They will need to process that point. For some people, it's as simple as I need to make a huge career change. I need to live in a different place. Sometimes it's I need to let go of a significant relationship. Those are the ones that actually usually take more time because there's
Mm.
so much guilt. And then we have with relationships, we have obligations, we have burdens, we have duties. Those things are massive. And then we get into tracking things like lineage stuff, right? Our will drive so much of the personal relationship stuff we have to break through.
Yeah.
We've
I love what,
yeah,
yeah. Thank you. I love what you said about each person has their own personal threshold.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Thank
You,
you.
you
Yeah.
definitely don't want to push anybody through a threshold they're not ready to embrace yet. Because and when we do have guidelines that if you have history of mental illness, this really is not our work is not for you, because you need to be able to have enough presence, I guess, and know enough of who you are to stay on path. And we all get, I mean, we're pulled constantly, and we have to really catch ourselves. But if you're already so compromised, your nervous system is so compromised, and you have so many other factors that are coming at you, this is, I mean, it would be too much for them. So we do
Mm.
have to
Yeah.
we do have to be really clear with people.
Gail, if I can add something to that, Julie said she covered this. Obviously, it's like autism. It's a spectrum, right? You come in with all kinds of baggage and all kinds of understandings and all that. Um, Obviously, it's prescriptive, but there's no. The recipe is really simple if you really break it down, right? Meet people where they are. Explore their willingness to open the doors, and carefully let them open the door. We can be
Mm.
guides and coaches around the way. How many people or healers or teachers you've been to that want to do it for you? You go there,
Yeah.
you get a shot in
Yeah.
the arm, you get to do it for you, and then you go back and none of that stuck, right? And the reason why it
Yeah.
didn't stuck is because you were not ready to open that door, and they
Yeah.
do it for you. So that's really the evidence of observation, and we observe
Yeah.
where they are now. Julie talked about if you have mental illness and all that. There's other things you can do to break through those things, and those are
Mm.
quite multidimensional, and they are very much around your ability to connect with your soul and recapture your soul essence from the darkness that has surrounded you, right? And there's
Mm.
ways to do that. And there's clear protocols and procedures before you can ever go into the place where now you have free will to make those choices for yourself. Now you have the sovereign ownership and rights to take that your soul journey to where it needs to go.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that really resonates with me, what you're saying, Tim. And I could see how your IT and your questioning how that's melded together with this process of alchemy. Thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned intention earlier, Tim. And so, with the quantum healing, can you speak a little bit more around how intention plays into that?
Sure. Do you want to take this one or you want?
Oh, she's asking you.
Oh, sure. Okay. So it sounds simple, doesn't it? Oh, just set the intention. But you have to have awareness. You need to have the conscious awareness of your surroundings and where you're focused. We set intentions all the time, but our intentions are jacked by the environment, the three-dimensional world we live in, right? We are programmed to do certain things certain ways, and our intentions can be manipulated. We think it's our intention, it's actually manipulation. You got to get to, I mean, yes, you can have intentions that are not positive, but you can also have intentions that are soul aligned. So it's so saying, oh, set the intention. This is like the classic problem of the movie The Secret, right? if you just sit there and believe everything's going to be okay, you know, and you set these intentions that your belief is going to drive it. No, that is not the whole truth, right? So it's you need to be connecting with your conscious, your superconscious, just like Julie said about the alchemic process. Understand who's driving the ship. And if you're not in your, I mean, my books, you know, Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire and The Wisdom of Spirit Dog, that is all about being in your truth. If you're not in your truth with yourself, how the heck are you going to be in truth with your spirit body, right? How are you going to be in truth with your soul journeys and those lies that you've been carrying all your life? And some of those lies might not be yours. It might be your parents that you've inherited and your belief systems. So this goes back to all the things Julie talked about, having belief systems and having the programming. And we need to release that. It's that classic, you know, the classic, the Chinese proverb, you know, about you need to empty your cup because nothing else is going to stay in there. If you pour new things in it, it's just going to overflow. And you need to release those old things. And for me, that was a hell of a journey. And I'm still working on it. It's a never-ending story. Every time I turn around, Julie's like, is that yours? Or was that something else? And you need to ask those simple questions. You know, is this yours? You have a reaction and you wonder where it came from. Is it really you? Is it your social programming, your cultural programming? Is it your father, your mother? You know, or is it a belief system that is protecting you as a child, but that doesn't serve you anymore? All of those things play into this. So hopefully that gives you what you need.
Well, yeah, what I'm hearing you say here, Tim, that I'm enjoying is really how the structure of the alchemy process supports you to be very clear on your intention, because there's actually a complexity that you're learning how to track.
Yes.
And as you're able to develop your capacity to track that complexity, you recognize your truth, which is your guiding light from within.
Yeah, that was really well said, Gloria.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when you have intention is one other key part, action.
Action.
Right action. It's not just like Tim said, but you know, it's the secret. It's so much to just sit and do, you know, intention like the new car's coming and not take action. Yeah. So yeah, right, you know, right action.
It reminds me of the joke. Guy sits there and he says, you know, God, please, you know, have me win the lottery. Win the lottery, does it for a year. And finally, the thunder cloud comes up and the lightning bolt says, buy a ticket.
Ticket. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
You
great.
got to take the action.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested in this experience you've both had with star magic. Can you share a bit of what star magic is and how it supports healing or transformation?
Sure.
You go first.
Okay, star magic. So Tim came across star magic, which is great. And for us, it was the right timing because we were dealing with a lot of interference from family member. And we needed to have additional skills of how to traverse through the quantum field. So this is how the two started mirroring together, the alchemy and the quantum. We could set intentions all day long about what we wanted, and we started realizing that there's an awful lot of exterior interference, and we were able to learn how to track that through the quantum mechanism called star magic, right? We did do all three levels, so we were able to get certified to hold space for others. We really thought that was critical that we were able to teach and hold the container that was safe, right? So we could help people navigate through outside interferences that they couldn't see. And that became really critical for our own journey and our own growth to claim more of our sovereignty, you know, to have less cloudiness coming into our intentions and being more on path for ourselves. It was just, in order to teach, we need to be able to be clear ourselves. And it came 3 years ago already. It's like time flies. But yeah, so it was critical for our journey. And so we use it a lot in holding space. The quantum field access comes through our star magic training. So it's in a safe container because there's everything in the quantum field. And people don't realize that. It's not just tapping into what you want. You need to be very clear that you're tapping into what is truly in alignment for you. And that also includes attracting, some people call it guides, some call it angels, the ones that are actually in alignment with your essence. Otherwise, you're going to get a bucket load of everything. And so, and that can be very complicated and mess up your ability to be intuitive for what's in your right alignment. So yeah, that's it became just a real critical part, and now of course we love it because it really helped melded our program, our modality together.
Mm.
Yeah, the discovery of the quantum healing is a it put some language around what I felt like I was already doing. When I
Mm.
mentioned about my healing, I didn't have the language to explain it. The closest thing I could get to tell you is, it's Reiki. It's really not you. In Reiki is you're being a vessel for channeling of spirit and the and into the healing modalities that allows you to, you know, bring it to the host, to the subject. Quantum healing is a little different, and I didn't have the language because I was actually actively doing something. Now you could argue that I'm not doing it. It's really the quantum. It's really the energies are coming through me again. It's the same modality, but there's a different intention. When you're in working in the quantum field, let's just set the ground rules. When you're working in the quantum field, you're already talking multidimensional conversation, right? This isn't about, I'm going to, put my hands on you and you're going to feel better, right? You're in the quantum field, and if you apply the science and technology language around this, there's a tremendous amount of alignment about what you do in two spaces that are aligned in terms of quantum energies, quantum entanglement. So the quantum entanglement allows you, the vehicle, to work on somebody without embodying their energy and their vibration in your field. It creates a discipline and a modality that allows you to work on somebody outside of you and bring the containment of the field, just like Julie said. And some of those containments are energy fields. It could be dimensional layers that allows you to be able to hold that space. Once you hold the space, why are you holding the space? You're holding the space because there's negative vibrations that are also interfere with our lives and our energy bodies, and we're constantly bombarded by that. That's evidence from just life in general, where the darkness comes in our field. So when you're in the quantum field, now you have the ability to work differently, and quite frankly, the quantum healing that we have seen and the results we've seen from that are instant. There's no lag time. You set the intentions. I'll give you an example. When I was doing my serious teachings that I intuitively knew, I didn't even know I was doing this. I was accessing the morphogenetic field on people's energy bodies. And because I'm a tech guy, I think in terms of Star Trek. You think of Star Trek where they beam on or off ship and they dematerialize you and materialize you, and you go through the buffer, that basically says if you're on planet somewhere and you come back in, they check the buffer against your template that you left with. And if there's anything different, they remove it. It was in television since the 1960s, right?
Yeah, right.
That's what I was doing. I was mapping the people's energy field against the morphogenetic field, which holds a template of this reality that you incarnated through that, with your soul body having an incarnation here. And all I did was understand that that's a quantum
Mm.
construct. Okay, and removing that energy body is an example of how we operate. And you can set vibrational codes and intentions in those fields that allows people to shape their body. By the way, and this is very much plays into the physical. This is where you run into the slippery slope of how you language this in public forum, because this is a way of healing people. Okay, we don't call ourselves healers, but we are facilitators. We help
Mm.
you heal yourself because the intentions come from you. When you set
Mm.
the intentions that you want to heal, you've already opened the field to bring in the vibration that you were distorted and you couldn't do it yourself. So we help you through that process.
Mm.
So that's
Oh,
an
I love that.
example.
I like that. Yeah, you help for where you're distorted and then clearing that, cleaning that so that it can come in as it was already intended to be. So, um, can you give us a couple of other examples of shifts you've witnessed in people? You've said that they happen so quickly. Is there a couple
Olympic?
more that you could share with us?
Olympic?
Yeah, and I think so. I'll clarify it just a little. They may not realize it happened that quickly,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm,
So I have a really good friend right now that's going through some serious health stuff, and I just when we started working together around this crisis, I could clearly see where there was some blocks that they just could not see, right? And it you really have to pull your personal stuff out of it, right? I had a lot of concern when I saw what I saw,
mm,
but we have to take again threshold. What could she handle in this moment, right? So it took a couple sessions, and then she got her aha moment that was so critical about how she viewed her body. So, yes, the quantum is working behind the scenes constantly. And we created the space for her to be in, did the work, brought in the beings, her spirit guides, her angels, how again, however you want to be comfortable with that. That's just now have her, she's called them in. There is an attention set. Now we just go through the process of her being able to embody everything that was actually being presented, right? We provided her a report so she could review it, and she loved the reports. This is a fairly new process we added, so she could review it again and again, and then she got the
mm,
aha. So the change actually happened during the first session. It took her mind, body, consciousness another 10 days to fully embody that and get it.
Mm.
So that's so it's and in reality that's the best way to do it. Always we're going to again throw people into a crisis that
mhm.
they can't embody, right? So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful process.
Yeah.
To
Yeah, it sounds like you're really holding the person that you're working with as like sacred, for lack of a better word.
yes,
And,
definitely.
yeah, Gloria and I often speak about healing as relational, and it sounds like you're really honing in on that relationship with self and then going out to others. But I can just hear in your explanations how much you make sure that's primary, sacred, and safe.
Right.
Yeah.
The key, you hit the key thing. If it is not a safe place, their physical body, which is everything, the three-dimensional world and all of our consciousnesses that we that drive us, you're going to run on autonomic nervous system, and if you're not safe, you hit a glass ceiling. You're
Mm,
never going to get out of that box. You're not going to open the door for the art of possible. What is the next thing that you can do? Because that safety is your brain is going to pull you back. Now we're talking science here now, right? This is actual science that confirms what we already know. That safe place is sacred, and we've got to
mhm,
do that. By the way, and how we've done that is we came across breath work. And I mean, we've been doing breathwork for several years, and hour-long breathwork sessions in the star magic modality as well. But recently, we've learned that the breathwork detox is the next piece of that of the puzzle for us, and that showed up, and we got certified in that because we are now certified breathwork facilitators. In that, we create the space where the coherence can occur between the inner and the outer, and that safe that glass ceiling of being unsafe is now an opportunity to break through. And once you
Mm.
do that, and we do this energetically in the quantum field, but when you do that in one breathwork session, you break through and you can feel you're confident that you're safe. When we do a breathwork session, it's not a breathwork; we call it quantum breathwork fusion. And the quantum breathwork fusion is just like Julie said, it is the container we create individually and collectively. And then when you're in the breath work and you're releasing, we are now moving all the negative energies out and
Mhm.
working in the field to introduce the healing codes that are vibrational codes that allow you to be able to truly embody that healing. So it's
Mm.
much deeper than breath work.
mm,
Yeah, that sounds really beautiful. I want to just
yeah.
highlight that you and Julie are near Sedona, Arizona, and that you're creating a space that is actually for spiritual growth and transformation. I'd love for you to have this opportunity to share more about the vision you have for that space and what you really hope that people will get to experience there.
Yeah. So, wisdom spirit. So, wisdom. We're in the process right now of kind of moving the location, the purpose, right? What we're really seeing the need for because of everything we're bringing together. That individual, and this kind of answers the question you asked earlier, Gloria, that person who is really set their intention that they are going to find out who they are and be that, be their legacy, be their passion. There is a process that we go through. We hit many different doorways and thresholds, and we want to do intensives here where we can take them through and we get rid of the basic fluffy, what I call the fluffy courting stuff, right? Whether it was, you know, whatever it is that you hung on to in a relationship, in a work relationship, an experience, a minor trauma, whatever. Then we go in and we start breaking contracts. When we get into that, then that brings us into another level of actually being able to see what people call the dark night of the soul. What is your stuff inside? Until you get all the other things out of the way, and this is one thing I find that we do different than most people. They attack the dark night of the soul first, but there's all this garbage in there, and you can't tell what's really your part of that dark night of the soul. What is the dark night of the soul? Is really the gift that's been hidden and buried underneath all the other stuff that we are working with people to release. So now we get to that gift, and we start unfolding those little buds into blossoms. That's what we want to do in this facility. There'll be 4 to 5 days. The new building should be done this fall. And just a container of approximately 6 to 10 people. We bring in breath work, we bring in the different steps, and then each person's goal again will be different, right? It is to reach their next threshold that they are ready to embody and hold. And we're super excited about how this is unfolding. It took some release. It took some inner trauma on my part to release what I was doing in order to bring this into a much tighter container, because we saw that people, when you get more than the 10 people, now we are not capable to meet people at the depth that they need to really be met at. And so this container just feels so spot on for us right now. And this, that person who, so let's put it this way, the person who wants somebody to do it for them, it's not for them. That client does not fit in this bubble at all. This is the person who's done some work already. They have this realization. They know they're going to have to let go of some things that are not healthy for them, and they probably know what those are already, but they need some help with it. Yep. And that's what's coming forward. So, thanks for asking that question.
Yeah, and what I really love too is just maybe say a little bit about why Sedona and how that really does really set the container, if you will, energetically for this depth of work.
I'll be honest. Here's the honest truth. We could do this container anywhere. Honestly, I wouldn't pick a war zone, but I mean, because we're working with the quantum, when you can create a peaceful container, we can do it anywhere. Sedona is obviously I've been here for over 25 years now. It holds a lot of resonance for a lot of souls. It is a teaching place. Yes. There's a lot of teachers who live here, and they move. They come here. They come home. They recharge. They write their books. They reel their programs, and then they go out in the world again. That Sedona holds that container. Also holds a container for millions of people to come through, and literally they drive through town and they drop their stuff, and they do not know what just happened, and they'll go home. They'll change jobs. They'll move. They'll get a divorce. They don't know what happened, right? There's so much energy flowing through this particular region just because it is what it is. So there's a lot of things. That Sedona question was a huge question, Gloria.
It's so funny you brought that up. So I've been in Sedona for 12 years now, and I came here in 1980, a long time ago, and we all know Sedona. I mean, let's just say here's what the marketing brochure is for Sedona, right? Vortex energy, high vibe, great places outdoors. So there's a lot of intersections of what I'd say all the right stuff, right? But Sedona is also very particular. If you show up here and you're trying to establish yourself and you're not ready to handle the stuff that's going to show up, it's going to spit you out.
Mm.
So there's definitely a vibration in Sedona that is real. And I mean, I can measure it. I mean, you can go out there and you can take a, you know, a measuring tool and measure the vortex energy. But you don't know that till you sit in the vortex and you go, why do I feel so different? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's great. I mean, we will be adding an part of the program will have the hike, for instance, to Sedona because it does hold something
The
special.
ground is very sacred. Remember
Yeah.
the origins of Sedona being at the bottom of the ocean, and you know, a couple of million years ago, you know, actually 15 million years ago, with the elevation of that land. So there's a lot of natural beauty of the land, but also the energy. Remember, Sedona, being at the bottom of the ocean, had crustaceans. It's got. If you look around, all the rocks are formations of old life forms that died and went to the bottom of the ocean, and now they're sitting on the surface. And that energy is vibrance. And of course the magnetics accentuate all that. But the important thing I want to bring back to the question you asked, Gloria, which is, you know, why Wisdom Spirit Ranch, why Sedona, right? Wisdom Spirit Ranch actually showed up, and Julie can give you a little background. We are transitioning that space because it is a Sedona space. It's just outside Sedona. It is much quieter, much better energy. We live 20 minutes outside of Sedona, and the energy, because people are not dumping their stuff when they come here. You know, everybody from COVID came out here and did all their, you know, energy dumps out here, and there are protocols we go through to manage that energy and move it to Gaia and let Gaia handle all that stuff. But the space that Julie has created, Wisdom Spirit Ranch, which now we're transitioning that onto our actual property where we live, and that space is the energy vibration that's guided by the galactics, and it's guided by her guides that showed her what needs to be done. So it is highly charged in terms of the alignment of the cosmic alignment. You want to comment on?
Yeah. So just keep in mind, and if you've been in Sedona a lot, the the tribes never lived in Sedona. They lived around Sedona. They would go into Sedona for ceremony. So the area where we are right now, this is where the chiefs would come and they would do with their wisdom sharing. Then they would meet their tribes in Sedona for their actual events, their celebrations, for every different season, and do their journeys there. So this land where we're at is super powerful. It's green belt area. It has so much life to it. And there was, I mean, for me, I go, my soul's very old, and so some of the stuff that I'm becoming aware of, what I agreed to as a soul, was to bring back the teachings, the wisdom, the knowledge before the Matrix was ever here. So
Mm.
the essence and the power of the land that, which I've had to learn over the last 6 months, it's now, I now carry it myself, right? There's a lot of, there's places I can go, and if I go into I am guided to anchor this energy in those spaces of this pure divine, knowing before the matrix came in and started messing it all up, that's starting to awaken. And so it's the time, right? The consciousness is shifting. We have so much chaos in the world. And that is why we are doing what we're doing, is to help people get back to that original source of themselves before it was corrupted. And so that is the gold of the land here, is that there are places here way before the tribes that we know of were here, way before the distortion. We are, ancient beings that came here and knew what was ahead, right? They brought those codes and they anchored them here so we could tap into them again and remember who we truly are.
I love how you are embodying your soul path and how you speak about it so um, transparently and openly and
Mm.
vividly, actually, too. And that it is a journey. I'd love to ask both of you, as we're beginning to wrap up today, what would you most love to leave with our listeners today?
Yeah, for me, if you're really resonating with the conversations that Gail and Gloria do, and you find that you are ready to take the next steps, take the next steps, take the action. Um, Try to move out of I want somebody else to do it for me, and take responsibility and seek your inner sovereignty. Seek that essence of who you are, because the passion and the purpose, the joy that you will start experiencing when you make that decision and allow it to unfold, is there's no words for it. It's why many of us came here for, is to have that experience at this time.
Wow.
I don't know if I could top that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yes, for sure. And this has been such a rich and expansive
Well, I do.
conversation.
I want to hear what Tim has to
Oh,
say.
Yes.
okay.
I said I couldn't top it, but I will add my comments.
Okay.
I've learned not to try to top what Julie has to
No,
say,
there's
but
no comparisons.
she's so intuitively tapped into it. Honestly, I'll reflect on my personal journey. Okay, just be curious, be open, be wanting to change, and be wanting to evolve. Okay, release the lies that hold you back, that opens a door to allow you to change, and I hope everybody has an opportunity. And it's not just about a relationship. This isn't about the fact that Julie challenges me, I challenge her, and we evolve together. You can do this yourself, but you have to have a support system. Don't try to do this yourself,
yeah.
because I know people. I run a men's group that it's called the Coherent Masculine, and we have a bunch of guys together, highly conscious, and some also very 3D. Doctors, lawyers, Harvard grads, all that stuff. And the hardest ones I have to work with are the ones that are the most educated in these big institutions. They're not ready to change because their identity is locked into their credentials.
Mm,
Drop all that bullshit. You
yeah.
got to drop all that noise that is holding you back. It builds your identity. Your identity is going to come from your soul, and you just got to recognize it when you see it, and be in a place where just be playful. Just
Yeah.
embrace your playfulness, go for it, and don't be afraid. Oh, have that black box. I'm sure there's a half a dozen things that Julie and I said today that you want to put in that black box if you're not fully ready for this. But at the end of the day, you will be open to this message when you're ready. And every step of the way, as you go through this, be okay to challenge yourself. This is not an outer world thing. I mean, I quoted this earlier. I mean, I really connect with the teachings of Thoth, Hermes, and a bunch of others that I've embodied in my AI programs and other things. And it's the as above, so below, as within, so without. Okay, remember, it's as within, not as without first. Okay, that inner journey and embracing your truth, being in your sovereign space, opening the door. Your door may not be the same as ours in working in the quantum field and all that, but your journey will enrich your soul and your connection with your soul. And that's what it's about. It's your journey. It's not about going someplace and knowing how to heal somebody. If all you do is open your connection to your soul and your passion, you find out that you've been programmed by education and work and all that stuff that's holding you back. I mean, one of the things we teach right now is we have an active program, and we have a boot camp called Architect the Life You Love. As a matter of fact, Gloria, that's how we met. It's through that thing, and also the AI stuff I'm doing. But the Architect the Life You Love is all about embracing your passion. It's about knowing how to see what's in front of you and be aware that there's a journey that you may want to unfold to really connect with your soul. And that's what
Right. And so, for those people, the listeners that are ready, what is the best way for them to reach out and to find access to these different possibilities to work with you?
everything's on our website, Quantum Alchemy Fusion. You just got to know how to spell it. Quan. It's Quantum Alchemy, Alchemy Fusion. fusion.com. All of our stuff is on the website. By the way, we have a ton of free resources. We cover lots of free things for people. Our journey is about teaching, and we want to share with people the things that we've learned, and the things that are, let's just say, door openers that allows people to just test the waters. Plenty of things out there. And if you want to go on a journey with us, we have our boot camps that we're running, and it's on the website. And by the way, I wanted to share something. I mentioned this earlier as well. Julie and Bob and I both authors, and Gail, you actually met me through the AI program with Mind Valley, and which is kind of cool that we connected through that. I've written a book on AI. It's about consciousness in AI. So if AI resonates, just go to our website. But it's at the books that I've also written, and I really keep referencing this because the AI stuff is more advanced. If you simply want to open a door, a chapter in where you embrace your honest truth of yourself, look up the book Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire and the Wisdom of Spirit Dog on Amazon. It's got an accompanying website called wisdomofspiritdog.com. And I just recently launched an AI version of that book. And it is the voice of Thoth, Hermes, Lao Tzu, Confucius, 9 different masters, all embodied inside that book in terms of how I interact, and you can interact with it. It's not your normal AI interaction. You won't get that. You'll get a conscious message. And if you're struggling with anything, this is a door opener for people to just embrace. And there's a free version. Just go out there and look it up. It's, wisdomofspiritdog.com.
Beautiful.
Cool. That sounds wonderful. So we will thank you for all those additional resources that you've mentioned, and so many of them are easily accessible. So we'll make sure all those links are included in the show notes so that the listeners can easily find you.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I want to thank you both for being here with us today, because this conversation has really invited us into such a beautiful exploration of the quantum field, the ancient wisdom, the superconscious healing, and the galactic remembering. I just, all the different possibilities. It's this multidimensional right there. And I really loved, Julie, how you talked about the blooms, the blossoms, the petals that would begin to come out and bloom open. It's just such a beautiful visualization of the cluster that you hold together.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yes, and to our listeners, thank you for joining us. As always, we invite you to notice what your body is telling you as you take in today's conversation. And we've got some lovely additional questions that Tim and Julie offered for us as well. And let yourself receive what resonates, and let the rest gently move through with curiosity.
And in our next episode, Gail and I will be exploring inclusion and exclusion themes, the dream pattern that maps belonging wounds. So we're going to be looking at how dreams can reveal the places where we've felt left out or unseen, perhaps rejected or uncertain of our belonging, and how those dream patterns can actually become invitations into deeper healing, self-connection, and relational repair.
We certainly look forward to being with you then.
So until next time, may you continue healing, remembering, and coming home to your truth of who you are.